Welcome to the episode number 7, and this is the episode where we'll talk about coffee roasting process. So once when we have purchased the green beans with a certain quality, we want those beans to make suitable for human consumption. By roasting process we are making them suitable for human consumption, and besides that, with chemical reactions by roasting we are creating the certain organoleptic characteristics for coffee that we are roasting. Depends which technique we will apply, which roast we want to make out. Also from those things depends which flavor we will get at the end. The roasting in general can be divided in a couple of phases. So once when we have a green beans, they have a certain moisture level. So when we put the green beans into the roaster, first starts a drying phase. Drying phase means that the green beans are losing the moisture while being in the roaster. And once when they lose the moisture level enough, the roasting process starts by changing the color to the yellowish. And then from the yellowish, we are going to the how roasting goes and goes. We are going to cinnamon phase. Then we are going to the first crack and eventually second crack. But if we reach a second crack, those beans will be a little bit, those beans will be really dark and bitter. In the specialty coffee, we are usually using something which comes to the first crack, and maybe 1 minute, 1 minute and a half after first crack, we are taking beans out of the roaster. After the roasting stage, and after we take the beans out of the roaster, there is a cooling stage. As you can guess, beans when they are out from the roaster, they are very hot and they need to be cooled down. Each roaster usually has a cooler tray with a fan down, which is cooling the beans, roasted beans, which we are keeping around 4 to 5 minutes on the tray to spin around and to cool, and then after that we are removing it out of the roasters. So those are the 3 stages. We have a drying stage where beans are losing their moisture. We have a roasting stage, which starts by beans changing the color to yellowish, from yellowish to the cinnamon, from cinnamon to the first crack, from the first crack is going to the second crack, which we don't want preferably if we don't want to drink burned and ashy and bitter coffee. And after the roasting stage, we have a cooling stage where freshly roasted beans are taken out from the roaster and thrown on the cooling tray to be cooled. That's it when it comes to the roasting stages. And let's talk about the changes which occurs while beans are roasting. Once when you put the green beans, they have a certain size. Once when you put the green beans in the roaster, they have a certain size, which by the roasting process is getting increased. So beans are getting larger and larger through the roasting process by filling the gases inside. Usually beans can go double into size if they're dark roast, which we don't want to reach, but they're increasing the size. Then they are losing the weight. They're losing the weight for around 15 to 20%. So if we put 1 kg of the green beans in the roaster, we will take out around 800 to 850, depends on the roast level. So we will take about 850 to 800 grams out of the roaster as roasted beans. So they are losing around 15 to 20% of the mass. They're changing the color from the green to the brown as well. And those are some changes that occurs by the roasting process. Also, through the roasting process, we are dictating how our coffee will taste like. Since roasting is through the roasting, there are a lot of chemical reactions are happening in the drum. Depends on which roast profile we choose, which level of the roast we choose. Depends also the flavor profile of the coffee. So if you have a light roast coffee, we're probably very high in acidity, low in body, low in the bitterness, and not so high in sweetness. If you have a medium roast, we will extract and the medium acidity and the medium sweetness with maybe a little bit of the bitterness because of the more gases already in the beans through the higher level of the roasting. And if you have a Dark roast, which I'm not suggesting to go for, as everything as it's burned, also coffee if it's dark and burnt, it's bitter with a very low acidity and no sweetness at all. So that is what's happening through the roasting process, and where we can play with the roast levels from the light to medium to dark. And I will repeat one more time, I'm not suggesting to go to dark as most of commercial coffees are, since it's bitter with low sweetness and low acidity. I believe a lot of people are used to actually on the commercial very bitter coffee, dark roasted, but if you think about it, everything what we are consuming as a humans through the food, whatever we are preparing, either is meat or some veggies or whatsoever, if it's burned, it's bitter, and I believe it's not so healthy. So as well goes for the coffee. If you burn the coffee, you will have a very, very, very bitter coffee. And basically that's it when it comes to the roasting and basic information, what's happening through the roasting process, all the way from the green beans and transformation to the roasted beans. Thank you very much for watching these episodes, and see you in the next one. Wow, these 7 episodes were absolute blast. We covered the coffee journey all the way from the farm to the roasting process, a lot of theoretical standards, a lot of theoretical facts, and the things are covered by now. For your basic coffee knowledge, I would like to put accent on that one, that we are just covering basics in this course. And before we continue on episode 8, I would like to give you one more quiz, and I would like you to go through the questions and to test your current knowledge about the coffee. And from the episode 8, we are starting with the sensory module. We are starting with the sensory characteristics of the coffee, which will also look like more practical, since I will give some practical suggestions for how to exercise and how to approach the sensory evaluation. But before we continue with episode 8, please go through the curriculum, go through the quiz, check the questions, and make sure you understood properly and fairly enough the last 7 episodes. See you there.